Lawsome, the podcast for law firms. Powered by Consultwebs.
Welcome back to Lawsome, the only podcast for law firms that knows where the red fern grows. We're here to inform, educate, and entertain the legal community on the latest in legal marketing and law firm development. I'm Jake Sanders. He's Paul Julius, and man, that book was sad. Right, Paul?
So I gotta tell you, I've never read that book, and most of the books that I've looked into about growing different plants were focused on a different plant. I
was shocked.
It wasn't about gardening at all, man.
Dogs? What? Loss?
I mean, sometimes titles can be misleading, I guess.
I thought Hamlet was about a ham omelet. I was waiting the whole time. Where's the omelet? Let's tell everybody what's coming up on the show.
What we got cooking today, we talk about law firm development, management, and money metrics. First, with an article from the American Bar Association, who we love and adore. And then we talk to Brooke Lively from Cathedral Capital. And of course, we collect data on the important metrics on our guest with 5 questions we ask everyone.
Pull up a plate. It's the Hot Takes Buffet.
The article today is 5 Reasons Law Firms Lose Money by Gary Allen and Linda Artesani.
Yeah. I got to say, I was surprised there was only 5.
There's many reasons. That's why I wanted to choose. I chose this because I think it serves to illustrate Brooke's interview later, speaking about developing business and how you approach it at the law firm level. She's got a book coming out, From Panic to Profit, and it outlines how to correct these mistakes. And it's interesting because these weren't the mistakes or the reasons that I thought law firms lose money. So I was kind of shocked by this one.
Yeah, no kidding.
Paul, do you want to crack them? Do you want to enumerate these guys?
May
and
I
provide a hot
get
take?
Oh, I love it. Okay. So here's the top 5, the only 5 in this list. But number 1, timekeeping. Number 2, invoicing. Number 3, retainers. Number 4, choosing the wrong client. And number 5, not hiring pros.
Man.
So Jake, you found this. You brought it to my attention, and I have a hot take on it. But I'd like to see what struck you from this.
Well, I was shocked because, speaking as a marketing professional, you think advertising is this huge waste, this cost. Oh, marketing, it's so expensive, and people, you got to spend money to make money. These are fixes that you can do right now and save money so you have money to invest in marketing. I think if you had marketing and you weren't keeping track of your time, and you were paying for marketing, but you didn't have a good payment system set up for your invoices. And you were paying for advertising and marketing, but you keep choosing the wrong clients. And you're paying for marketing and advertising, and you're not hiring professionals to handle it. All of these things would compound. And then it's interesting because if marketing is looked at as this problem child, when in reality, the problems that you need to fix tend to be before the marketing function needs to be addressed. Very internal, foundational things. And so I was shocked. And Brooke's number 1 tip for law firms on how to get a hold of their business development potential.
It's on the list.
It's on the list. It's on this list. I won't tell you what it is. But
yeah,
so
we're not going to spoil it.
I think the hot take is, I was shocked to see billboards not on here or advertising, because those things actually generate money, but they're seen to be as a loss. And so I'm just thankful that it's very easy fixes that can save their money, and then marketing would be more effective with all of these handled. So my hot take is excellent. Handle these.
Okay. I agree with you. I like that each one of these is almost really something you got to work out there's no universal really fix, I think, except for, well, I'm not going to give it away. But one thing that Brooke talks about is defining profit and success for each person or each client or each law firm that she works with. And I think that a lot of these fall into helping, you need to get a handle on each one of these things, regardless really of what your definition of success is. You're going to have to at least address each one of these. And one thing that really stuck out to me was number 4, choosing the wrong client. And I don't know that I've necessarily spoken with lawyers and law firm staff about necessarily particulars of clients, but it's always been particulars of cases. And I can give you an example of where, someone did, they were more of a general law firm. They covered a lot of different ground, but it was mostly like transactional stuff, contract law, things like that. But because they spent a lot of time in kind of, the business world, the work world, they would occasionally get these, wrongful termination, workplace discrimination lawsuits. And the one partner I was talking to was like, these things are awful. They take resources. They take a huge amount of time, but somehow we keep getting them. And it just, reading this, that really stood out to me that like, this is something where, maybe you're doing it as a referral, as kind of a favor to somebody or something, or a referral back to somebody else. And that's okay. But maybe you should look at ways to either limit the number of those, cases / clients, or find a way to outsource that. If you want to do project-based work like that, there are resources. There's law clerk. There are
Lawyer
ways
exchange.
out there.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Like, why not make sure that, even if you, you don't ever want to turn something down. I've heard that a lot. Oh, I don't want to, it's business is business. Those are the ones that, pay the little bills or whatever. That's fine, but find a way to do it in a way that makes sense and has that goal of profit in mind.
Yeah. And defining it for yourself is Brooke's underlying point to her interview and her function as a consultant. And when she reveals, her secrets, she was shocked to know that they are not very secretive. It's a very simple process, which a lot of lawyers choose to ignore. And it falls under these 5 things that are highlighted in this piece. But her interview, the way she unpacks it, being data-driven, focusing on these metrics to understand if you're winning or losing is the only way to prevent loss and to encourage winning. You need to pay attention. So up next, we have a great interview with an amazing professional entrepreneur and just a brilliant mind, Brooke Lively. And then Paul and I are tagging along like some kind of barnacles. But we're bringing the ship to you, and it's docking in your port. It's Lawsome, and it's coming to you live.
Anchors away.
Lawson continues. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Since 1999, Consultwebs has been helping law firms connect with clients on the web, connect digital marketing success with firm success, and connect their business goals to proven strategies that help them get the most out of their legal marketing. Go to consultwebs.com to learn more.
And now, for a Lawsome interview.
Brooke Lively is the president and founder of Cathedral Capital, which specializes in helping entrepreneurs turn their companies into profitable businesses. Prior to consulting, Brooke was the full charge administrator for a 7-figure small law firm, which she helped to build from the ground up. her 6 Key Numbers book series, which includes 6 key numbers every entrepreneur should know and 6 key numbers every psychologist should know, is soon to be followed by an edition for attorneys. And after all of this, she's sitting down with us now on Lawsome. Brooke, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm totally excited to be here.
So let's talk about Cathedral Capital, how you started, what you do, and how you specifically help law firms.
All right. So full disclosure, I started this company by accident.
Great.
It was
Perfect.
It wasn't what I intended.
This is going great. I mean, this is okay. Okay, let's see where this goes. Brooke, continue.
I think you're starting to break out in a sweat. It's okay.
No, I'm excited for this because there is an element of luck. And a lot of people feel like if you have a strong intention, I'm interested to hear how this serendipitously took off.
All right. So whole story, I had gone to grad school late. I went to work for a hedge fund. That wasn't fabulous. My father, who likes to shed his law partners about every 7 to 10 years, was going through yet another time to shed the partners. By the way, he can't do that anymore. He now practices with my brother.
Okay.
So that would make Thanksgiving really awkward. But
yeah.
So anyway, so my father said, I need to set up this law firm. I need some help. The hedge fund said, great, you can work. You can do both at the same time. So I did. And then I quit working for the hedge fund. And we took that law firm from 0 to over $1 million in less than a year. So that was great. I hired a guy to help with sales and marketing. And his clients started coming to me and saying, can you do for us what you're doing for your law firm?
Nice.
And I was like, what do you mean? I did not know that lawyers didn't do things by the numbers. I had no clue because I happened to grow up in like this totally weird family. We are extraordinarily entrepreneurial. Everyone in my family has their own business. And on top of that, we seem to be numbers geeks. So, when you take the family on a car trip, what's the question that the children always ask?
How long is it going to last?
Are we there yet?
Are we there yet?
Are we there yet?
Absolutely. So my father never answered that question. When I was little, he would slow the car down to 60 miles an hour and say, we're 237 miles away. Figure it out.
That's awesome.
As I got older, he quit slowing down to 60 and would simply say, we're going 87 and it's 237 miles. Figure it out. So, this apparently is not normal, but I come from a very analytical family. So when this guy's clients started coming to me and saying, can you do for us what you're doing for your father's law firm? I was like, I'm not doing anything. And then I realized I was. And so that's how we started.
So thinking about, unpack the idea that lawyers aren't running things by the numbers. Can you just sort of give, what anecdotes do you have that prove that? Because I'm pretty sure everybody says, yeah, Brooke, I kind of got my finger on the pulse and I'm feeling like it's working, or I'll know if it's not. Speak to this, speak to the numbers blindness for lawyers.
The gut instinct that most attorneys use.
That everybody uses. I don't think I want to fault anybody specifically, but based on our research and based on guests that we've had, it's very similar to what you're saying.
It is. First of all, people go to law school and law school doesn't teach you how to run a business. And I don't know the statistic off the top of my head, but how many people graduate from law school and ultimately own their own business? And law school does them a disservice because they're not teaching you guys how to do this. So that's the first problem. I think the second problem is also that law school teaches you to be the expert in the room. So in my experience, and it's just my experience, attorneys are slower than some other people to raise their hand and say, I don't know something. I don't know. No one listening to this may resemble that, but somebody might.
Or somebody in a similar demographic of them would feel this way. Not you.
Right.
Somebody.
Or somebody might know somebody who knows someone who might.
A friend of a friend.
Yes. So, I think that's the problem. I do think, and there's some of the ladies on our team might disagree with me. I think that overall attorneys, in some ways, so I think they have fairly good gut instincts. It's working, it's not working. I think part of that is based on how much they're struggling. If they're not worried about cash flow, then it's going pretty well. If they're worried about cash flow, it's not going so well. I think that there are some attorneys who amaze me. My father is one of them. He can tell you exactly how much any client owes him at any given moment.
Sort of like a loan shark ability.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Knows that. And there are other attorneys who, what's the joke? I went to law school so I wouldn't have to do math. The only math any attorney I have ever encountered can do is, this is a contingency case. What's my portion? Mm-hmm. They're all really good at that
one. Right.
Indeed. Well, I guess to get a little bit more into it then, in addition to your book series, you also offer the workshop, 6 Key Numbers Every Entrepreneur Should Know. So, let's talk, instead of just saying cash flow or whatever, like, can you break down what those 6 numbers are and really why are they more important than other, why do you focus on those 6 numbers as opposed to maybe some other choices people may have when looking at business success metrics?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm going to do a quick plug. Can I do a quick plug?
Please.
Yeah.
I have a book coming out July 14th. So about 2 weeks, called From Panic to Profit, the 6 Key Numbers that make a 6-figure difference in your law firm.
Like that title.
So, yeah, isn't that a fun title? So it really is all about these 6 key numbers, and they might, the key number you focus on might change based on your practice area, but generally they don't. So the 6 categories of numbers are cash, your ideal ratios. So and I'll go over what that includes. Production, everything surrounding your team. Is work moving through your firm? Budget versus actual. By the way, we hate the word budget. We think it's limiting and awful. Nobody wants a budget.
No, it sounds like diet or something.
Yeah. We like profit plans because, dude, don't you want to plan for some profit? All right. The 2 other categories are sales and marketing and case management. And so we go through each of these categories and we really find the one number that either looks forward into the future to tell you where you're going or gives you a piece of information to tell you if you've gotten off track. So in cash, we're looking at a cash flow forecast. We want to know exactly how much cash is going to be in your account at the end of a particular day of the week, every week for 6, 8, even 12 weeks out. When we talk about ideal ratios, I think the question I get more than anything else is how much should I be spending on fill in the blank, right? My people, marketing, whatever. But I think the really important one in there is owner compensation. How much is the owner taking home? And is this law firm giving him or her what they need? When we look at production, there are a whole bunch of numbers in production. Your capacity, your utilization, everybody's billing goals. But the one that we think is important is work in progress, because that tells us how much we're going to bill and collect next month. Budget versus actuals is pretty self-explanatory. Are we on track for where we wanted to be? If we're doing better, why are we doing better? Let's repeat that. If we're doing worse, let's find the cause of the problem and plug that hole. Marketing and sales. So I think it's so funny. You talk to an attorney, and almost any attorney, and you say, what's your conversion rate? And guys, what's the answer?
Oh, it's the best.
Oh, it's always between 80 and 100%.
It's the best.
Yeah,
You're never
if I
gonna
can get them, if I can get them on the phone, I'll sign them up.
That's it, Paul.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So when we start talking about marketing and sales, we start looking at a lot of numbers. And your conversion cycle starts actually not when you have a sales call, but the first time you get contacted by a client. So it's so funny. They're like, I have an 80% conversion rate. I'm like, yeah, once you get them in the room. But you do realize that of 100 people that contact you, you only get 5 in the room. We got a problem with your conversion rate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So in there, we're looking at conversion rates. We like to look at conversion rates by your referral source, because that tells us an immense amount about your message. But the really important number in there are the sales calls booked. Because if you do, in fact, close 80% of the people that show up in the room, that tells us exactly how many new clients you're going to have next month.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one, when we start talking about case management, there are a lot of things that we want to know about your cases, but really the one that's good looking forward is net new cases. Because that talks about how much, that tells you if you need to hire. That tells you if you need to fire people. How many cases can your firm handle? What's the capacity? And are we approaching that capacity limit?
So here, it's really quick before we go to the next question. You've told people this. They know this. Why don't they listen? Why do the problems persist, Brooke? I mean, this is a great book. We are going to plug this book. What's the problem here? What's the lack? This is very amazing. What's the problem? How can we take this and put it in? Most people go to these seminars, go to a webinar, attend a Zoom conference, get inspired by a billboard or something, and they feel like, I want to develop some business. Why don't they ever go about it like this when they have this information here?
So I just finished reading What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshall Goldsmith. And what he says is it's all about follow-up. You read this, you go to a seminar, you see a billboard, whatever it is, you're right. You get inspired, you get the information, but because there's no follow-up, there's no execution. And so intellectually, people can understand this, but they run into 2 problems. One, and this is my personal favorite, I don't have the time, right? I don't have the time to track this. I don't have the time to look at this. Let me tell you what happens when you don't have the time to track and look at it. You make a decision by gut instinct, and then you wake up in the middle of the night. Was that the right thing? Was I supposed to do that? Wait a minute. What about this other thing? You spend an immense amount of time second guessing that decision. When you have the data, we are big fans of data-driven decisions. When you have the data, it is a quick decision. It takes no time, and you don't second guess it. And the other reason that people don't execute on this is there's no follow-up. There's no one holding them accountable. There's no one saying, this is the next step. Now go do this.
And it's probably because they lack that rubric upon which to measure the choices that they have. They're saying, well, I can do all these things, but based upon this, it's interesting because if you don't know what you're measuring against, every tactical choice is sort of a wasted effort. I don't know. You're speaking to something really interesting. And when you say the words panic and profit, I think these are like trigger words. And already I'm listening. Right now, a lot of people are thinking like this. Business owners are wondering if they need to start behaving like entrepreneurs, and they're starting to look at sort of this pandemic as sort of a catalyst in some way for them to start thinking differently. How can you take that panic and profit mentality and bring it towards law firms in specific?
I really, what I think it is there are people in this world who love to live in a state of panic. You are not my people.
And you're probably not your own people either.
Yeah, that really, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. Um, Most attorneys, so I had a sales call with a great guy yesterday. He's like, things have been totally up in the air for 2 years for various reasons. I have a baby coming on in October. This place has to be calm and running properly by October. I'm like, sure thing. Estate planning firm, we can get you fixed in 4 months. Wow, it's going to take a little bit of work. I think most people would like to have that calm firm. And it's so interesting because I say from panic to profit, everybody has a different definition of profit.
Hmm.
For some people, it's money. For some people, it's time. For some people, it's a calm environment that they can control. When I started this job, when I started this company, I said, I'm going to work 4 days a week or 3 weeks a month because I love to travel. I have been grounded. I got on my first plane this weekend. And
Yeah.
since February, it was so exciting.
Oh my gosh.
But, everybody has a different definition of profit.
Yeah.
So what is your definition of profit and how can we help you get there?
Love it.
So to kind of piggyback on that one, then, I mean, talking about definitions, talking about success and profit, what would you say a successful firm, what does success look like for a firm that works with you, or does your workshops or signs on with Cathedral Capital?
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, I think the biggest thing we do is we actually define your version of profit and success. So, we were working with a law firm and the owner wanted to be nationally known, which meant that she needed to take cases in different parts of the country, which meant that she could not be the person doing sales in her law firm in Florida. So we had to create a law firm that would run without her in the office. That's very different than an attorney we had in Dallas who, if I told him he couldn't go into the courtroom, he would have died. So we had to build a firm that allowed him to practice law and didn't make him take care of so much of the day-to-day running of the firm. So, we define success and then we set quarterly goals and we work towards those. And every time you're on the phone with us, we discuss the goals. Everybody gets assignments and things to do. You leave the call and you get an email saying, this is what you've got to do before the next call, and this is what we're doing. So, Jacob, back to your question about why people succeed or don't, it's all about that follow-up. So it's that accountability. So we are on the phone, we are on email, we are communicating with our clients of this is the next step and this is the date by which you said you were going to get it done.
So I have a question a little bit, particularly with regards to professional services. This is something that we run into a lot when talking about either marketing or, practice management, case management, stuff like that. It's hard it seems like it's hard for, this goes beyond just lawyers. I mean, there's, creatives, agencies, doctors, dentists, whatever, anybody who is doing something that is the business. It seems like it's difficult for them to get out of being in the business and focusing on running the business. And so do you have any kind of do you have to address that like kind of over and over again with lawyers? Because, we hear it a lot. Like, I didn't go to law school to do sales. I mean, we talked about it earlier, but at some point you kind of have to define your success, both in terms of in the courtroom, and then, in your bank account, right?
Yeah, and it's an evolution. So we talk about, yeah, our logo has a mountain in it. And so we talk about mountains a lot. And we say that there are four mountains. And one is where you visualize your business, one is where you stabilize, one is where you get it really running like clockwork, and then one is where you scale it. And they're they're all different, and it's fine to sit on any of those mountains. So we just want to make sure that we're creating something that works for you. And as you go through that process, as you move visualizing the law firm of your dreams to actually scaling it, if you want to scale it, we talk about, okay, at this point, it is time for you to start shedding some responsibilities. And there's some responsibilities, let me tell you, attorneys can't get rid of fast enough that they really should be holding on to those.
Well, go ahead, unpack that. What do you think some of those things that people should, lawyers that you come across, should be letting go?
First of all, let go of your bookkeeping. Really? Once again, you went to law school because you didn't want to deal with numbers.
Come on.
Stop doing your bookkeeping.
So that's a good one. So wait, before I ask the final question, I wanted to speak to you about ROI and marketing specifically, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of lawyers are saying, in regards to the same world that you're living in, this data-driven world, my marketing works, it's fine. Or I don't need marketing. You can't really measure it anyway. Part of your quarterly goals, it seems like the 6 numbers, we're really obsessed with pipeline, future opportunity, sort of understanding what you have on deck. Marketing sort of stacks the deck of attention for your brand. How do you help your clients feel that? Other than just direct cases. I mean, it's something that as a marketing agency we struggle with. What's your piece of advice there for like ROI measuring marketing?
So, we had a client about a year ago, still a client, but about a year ago, we were having what we call a jumpstart day. So we sat down with them and we said, we are going to work on this problem. And he had this big plan about all this additional marketing he was going to do and all this stuff. And I was like, wait a minute. Aren't you already working 50 hours a week and your goal is to only be working 40 hours a week? Let's look at how much time this takes to do the marketing. Let's look at how many cases are coming from each one of those marketing sources. We knew his average case type. We got down to the point where we knew for every hour he spent in some kind of marketing role, how much money that brought into his firm. And then we could look at it. We're like, you want to spend 20 hours a week doing marketing things. This has an ROI for every hour you spend doing, he wanted to do like in-person seminars that he put together.
Okay, right.
I'm like, we estimate that is going to bring in $600 an hour. Sounds pretty good. But you know what? Every time you go to this BNI meeting or whatever it was, that's bringing in $1,400. So we're going to cut this $600 thing because it does not have an ROI. It's got a great ROI, but we have things that are performing better.
Wow.
And we do the same with paid marketing.
And so speak to brand, speak to that brand, because he was sort of responding to this call to generate awareness, and it was working. I think you really bring up an interesting point. It works. It can work. Yeah. But how effective? Just sort of speak to the brand thing, because people don't want to spend a lot on brand. They only want to focus on direct response. What's your thought there as far as in investing in brand marketing's, campaigns?
Can I use myself as an example?
I mean, I guess you're the closest to you.
I can really speak to my personal experience. So, I have spent over the years a lot on on brand. Like we've got the logo, we've got the stationery, we've got all that kind of peripheral stuff. We've got the website. What I didn't have was visibility. And when this pandemic hit and we got, and I got grounded, I spent all of my time building the brand. So for the past 4 months, I have been all over Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I've done, and it has been all free. I haven't paid for any of it, but I've spent the time doing it. I got quoted 4 hours ago, on CNBC. I've already had a person that called me wanting to have a sales call.
Organic social media stuff, just sort of promoting what you know and taking pieces of your consulting, pie and putting it out on social media.
Yeah, put it out there. And it's not like we withhold the good stuff. We put the good stuff out there first. And as we're building this following, at some point we'll be able to go in and do the paid stuff.
Wow.
But I've got to do the hard work first to build brand.
Okay. So talking about brand building, talking about the good stuff, let's get to, if you had one piece of advice you could give our listeners, what little bit of good stuff, something that they could start doing right now, today, that would help improve their law firm, what would it be?
Gotta say, it's looking at your collection rate. The one thing that attorneys can do better is collect more of the money that they've earned. So we put in to improve your collection rate, we want to automate your payments from your clients. You don't ever want your client to be in control of payment timing. You want to be in control of payment timing. So your fee agreement needs to have a credit card authorization form in there. You send the bill out. 10 days later, that fee agreement and authorization form says that you can charge their card. Unless they contest it in those 10 days, they have accepted it and you charge their card. And that, more than anything, totally changes what is happening in your law firm. It is not more work, it's actually less work. And all of a sudden, you have more money in the bank.
Wow. And so how many people aren't doing this? Can you just sort of keep explaining, how many folks aren't really taking control of this payment process thing? This seems very simple.
97%? I have no idea.
Would it matter? Does it matter?
Jake, when we had the payment software, we've had different practice, we've had CasePeer, different practice management stuff, different
Headnote and Sarah Shaw.
Headnote, different payment options. Yeah. And I'm always surprised at how often people just skip out on paying lawyers. I really that's the last thing in my mind. But we looked it up. We were looking up some searches and it was like, some of the ones were like lawyer payment options. And then like 2 of the suggested searches were like, can I go to jail for not paying my lawyer?
They're willing to risk prison for it. They're like,
right. So, I mean,
I don't need to pay that guy.
Surprised, but do you run into this as being a disconnect? Like people just think, hey, I'll do the work and because I'm a lawyer, people are going to pay me? Or is it because it's just not given the focus? Like, okay, I do this work, they're in here, and then we send them a bill. Like people don't think through the whole process.
Yeah. So I think the thing that I really hear the most is that's just the cost of doing business. Like they've gone to enough bar association functions. They've talked to enough other attorneys who only have a mid 70s to low 80% collection rate that they just think that's the way it is. And there's such simple, easy things you can do to change that. You could
outsource it. I mean, really, couldn't you? You don't even have to handle it yourself, do you?
Well, I mean, why outsource it? It's so easy to do it in-house. Just automate it.
I love it. So, Brooke, we could keep going, but we're not gonna because we have to.
Why not?
Because people have stuff. We do too. It's like, where are you going? Someone's like, I'm busy. I was like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. It's Corona.
Come on, get out of here.
That's right.
Nope. How can people learn more about you and Cathedral Capital online?
All right. So I didn't tell this story. The reason we're called Cathedral Capital is because I thought I was going to start a hedge fund at one point.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I've got all that financial background crud, you know.
It's a technical term, folks.
Nice. Watch out for the crud.
Term. I don't. Anyway, so I was going to do this, and this guy I worked with and I were going to do it. We came up with the name Cathedral Capital. We bought a domain. We couldn't get Cathedral Capital, but we could get CATH, C-A-T-H, first 4 letters of Cathedral, first 3 letters of Capital. And when I started this company, I actually started it really fast, and I needed a domain and all of that. I needed an email address. I'm like, oh, it's sitting there. I might as well use that. So that is why we have the name that doesn't tell you what we do and the weird website. So if you want to get in touch with us, the best thing to do is go to cathcap.com, CATHCAP.com. You can email us from there. Our phone number's all over it. There's all kinds of stuff happening. And you can also email me, Brooke at CathCap, BROOKE at cathcap.com. But I will say, if you want to connect with us, there are a couple of ways to connect with us on social media. So on Facebook and LinkedIn, we're Cathedral Capital Inc. Instagram, we're Cathedral Capital CFO. But really the fun one is our YouTube channel.
Naturally.
And we do like 1 to 2 Facebook Lives every week or webinars. So we've got an immense amount of stuff on there that has great advice. So go to YouTube, Cathedral Capital CFO.
5 questions we ask everyone.
What was the last book you read?
It's Marshall Goldsmith, What Got You Here Won't Get You There.
Right.
There we go. Number 2. What is your favorite place?
Aspen, Colorado.
Ooh, wonderful. Number 3.
I go on Friday.
Oh
my gosh. All right. Well, wear a mask. And
Yeah.
no.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I have masks with my company logo on them.
Oh,
There you go.
Talk about
Pass them
marketing.
out. Get a bunch. Hand them out.
hand them out. Oh, perfect.
Right on. Number 3. What sites, blogs, newsletters, or podcasts do you regularly check in with?
I gotta say I'm doing a little less mainstream media these days because
Yeah.
not much fun. My favorite podcast is How I Built This.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I've loved that one.
Love that.
Okay. The infamous number 4. If you were stranded on a desert island and could only pick one condiment to take with you, what would it be?
Mayonnaise.
Yes.
Perfect.
To
Perfect.
the tribe of mayonnaise. I love it. Okay. Number 5. Last one. After a long day or a long week at work, how do you relax and unwind?
Oh, do you want like the honest one or do you want the like Instagram worthy one?
Like
I want it all.
Yeah, a mixture of both, maybe. Yeah.
Give it to us. Whatever you want to share.
Instagram worthy, as I said, I've got this great patio out in front of my house that's enclosed, and I'm out there with these fabulous cushions on my great furniture, drinking champagne with my dog. Reality, I'm probably sitting in a chair watching TV.
For show notes, links, and info, go to thelawsonpodcast.com or follow us on Twitter or Facebook. Be sure to leave us a review and rating in iTunes or wherever you find the you listen to. Until next week, stay lawsome.